I knew eventually we would get here. It sucks that we have gotten here, but I knew eventually we would get here. The trade request was the next logical move for Team Terry in letting Adam Peters know we mean business. We are serious. We are not playing around with what is going on here. This was bound to happen. The order of operations in which these things have taken place is a little sideways. If they were taking the approach, what I would consider to be the smart approach, you make the trade request at Eastern Motors, not the day before August when we have our first football game of the season, Hall of Fame game, albeit, but still, the first football game of the season, also while everyone is deep into camp. Also, when the market for you as a wide receiver is not nearly that high, because there are not going to be a lot of teams that would give up the necessary assets that would benefit Washington heading into 2025. You're still under contract. The leverage is still with the Commanders. As much as I want Terry to get paid and to get paid a comfortable number, is 33 going to happen? No, it is not. But I still want him to get paid. He's been a great steward of this franchise in times where it was very difficult to be so. Never got angry. Outside of the one I was running cardio out there comment after the Miami game with Bieniemy as the OC, he really has not done anything that would even lead you to believe that he is unhappy here in D.C. But this was the final power play for them to say, we mean business. But I'm going to play semantics here. I would encourage you to look at the language. He has requested a trade. He did not demand a trade. That might feel a little reading too far between the lines, but there's a massive difference. He is, hey, if you're not going to pay me, trade me. Instead of, I don't care about anything, trade me. A demand is, I don't care about anything, get me out of here. The request, at least the way I'm viewing this, is if you're not going to pay me the money that I feel like I am worth, or if you are not going to budge off of whatever the number that you have, let me go see what the other options are. To be honest, I actually think this really helps the Commanders because I don't imagine there are going to be a lot of other options in good scenarios that Terry would want to go play for that are going to pay him the kind of money and the caliber of money that he is looking for. If you are to believe the Adam Schefter report from earlier this week, he wants significantly more than DK Metcalf. There is not an organization at this point in the season that is going to pay him a wide receiver who is 29 turning 30 in a couple of weeks now at this point, really more than a couple, but in about 5-6 weeks, he's turning 30. There is not a lot of organizations out there that are going to pay him $30+ million, or certainly not $33 million, let alone give up assets to do that. There are teams that have made calls to Washington. Diana Rossini reported yesterday Washington has said no to those calls because, again, they hold all of the leverage here. But this is an opportunity for them to now test the market a little bit and see what else is out there. And if you go out and test the market and find there's not a lot else out there for you, all of a sudden, whatever the offer is that is on the table for Washington looks significantly more appealing. When you think the grass is greener on the other side and you go out there and find out that it's as dead as dirt, you're going to want to go back home. The prodigal son returning. I've heard a great quote, Max, and I think you'll like this. I think most people will like this. Because everybody talks about the grass being greener on the other side. The grass is greener where it's watered. And I can understand why that might be frustrating right now if you're Terry, because he was expecting to be watered here to whatever level he was, $33 million, $32 million, whatever the number is. He was expecting to be watered here, and Adam Peters and company are not meeting that same level of water. But this is still, and always will be, the best option for Terry. Washington is not going to move him unless you are sending them heaven and earth. And who is going to send them heaven and earth right now? It is dangerous, though. And I hope that the camp of Terry has fully thought this through. Because a trade request opens up Pandora's box. If you are going to make this request, you better be willing to actually go through with it if Washington gets a good offer. Are you really so hell-bent on whatever the price is? We don't know. That has been very frustrating in this, by the way, and I've seen a lot of this that have been people tweeting to me, and you can tweet me at the Denton Day. A lot of people tweeting me throughout the course of this week about being frustrated with not actually knowing what the argument is in terms of numbers. Like, we've heard the Adam Schefter $33 million, but nobody else has really came up and reported that or backed that reporting. We're just kind of alluding to, okay, he said this, but Schefter is, he's a bigwig around this, so we're going to trust him. But he said he feels like that was not an official report of like Terry definitively wants more than DK Metcalf. That was just a feeling. Rappaport has given other numbers. So like all the numbers are very convoluted. No one has said anything about what Washington is willing to offer. But if you're Terry and you're saying, I want to trade, are you willing to go through the process? Are you willing to actually make that move if that is what ends up being the best option for Washington? If for some reason, let's just say hypothetically, a team like the Carolina Panthers say, hey, we like this Terry McLaurin guy. Bryce Young is our quarterback. We'd love it if he had another really good wide receiver. What if we go make a trade for Terry? Do you really want to go play in Carolina after you just played a year with Jane Daniels? I mean, for a guy that has all this conversation has been about, well, he's never played with good quarterbacks. You're going to play 1 year with Jane Daniels and then potentially run the risk of going and playing with a guy like Bryce Young? Or maybe someone in Las Vegas does the same thing. You really want to go from Jane Daniels to Geno Smith? Are you serious? What if Seattle calls him up? You want to go play with Sam Darnold? You got to be willing to take these if this is what your move is going to be, if it is really all about the money. Because there might be that, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are teams that will pay him $30 million at the age of 30. There has never been a market for that, by the way, in the NFL. Tyreek Hill is going to get paid $30 million now, but he signed this contract when he was 2 years younger. And Tyreek Hill was still at prime Tyreek Hill levels, which is being one of the most feared guys in the NFL. Terry's a great receiver. He's been a great receiver. He was not quite at the heights of Tyreek Hill when Tyreek Hill was at his prime. So while you're looking at Tyreek Hill, if you pull up Over the Cap, Spot Rack, whatever you decide to use to get your contract information, if you pull these things up and you see, well, Denton, Tyreek Hill is 30 years old and he's getting $30 million. Why is Terry not getting that? Well, Tyreek Hill signed that contract 2 years ago. That's why he's getting that. This is one of the final years of that contract, final few years of that contract. That's why Tyreek Hill number is as large as it is. In fact, the market for a 29-year-old receiver going on age 30, whatever Washington is paying him, that resets the market for that grouping. It's not the $30 million floor that we expect all number one wide receivers to get, but that needs to be taken into consideration that those guys are on second contracts. This would be Terry's third contract. If Washington wants to give him $30 million, give him $30 million. I'm not going to be the one sitting here saying, well, if they're offering it, I don't think they should offer that. I don't care. I don't care how much they give him. I want him here. I just think $33 million is a little out of the question. But if they say, hey, we got 30 for you and we got great guarantees, take the 30 and the great guarantees, and then let's run this thing back. I'm still not of the belief that he's going to get traded. I'm not. You have to really sell Washington. Why on earth, if you were the Commanders, would you trade your number one wide receiver after he just had a good year with Jaden Daniels? But why would you trade your number one wide receiver in year number 2 of your quarterback that you believe is the guy? And that is a correct belief, by the way. Jaden Daniels is the guy. You're not going to make that trade, especially, like, let's just say, if the number that Schefter says is correct, and he wants $33 million. What is the incentive for Washington to give him that when they could ride out this year and then hit him with the franchise tag that is going to be around $28 million, give or take? 28, might be like 28.6 or something like that, but it's not going to be 33. It's not going to be even close to 33. There's no incentive for Washington to do that. They can just play the franchise tag game. Do I want them to? No. I want Terry to get a long-term contract. I want that long-term contract to be here, and I want to laugh at the whole week that I have had in September, look back and say, remember that one time I sat in for Kevin for an entire week and all we did was bitch and complain about how much money Terry should or shouldn't get? Like, I hope nothing more, Max, to be sitting here in September as Washington is 2-0 after the first two games, beating Green Bay on Thursday Night Football, and Terry has a great 100+ yards and a touchdown, and he already has 2 touchdowns on the season. I want nothing more than that. But this is where we are right now, and we have to live in this moment, and it's a little taxing, I would say.
More than that, I feel like at this point, it's just gotten so exhausting because he's been doing the whole, you come out, sign autographs, do that.
I don't think we're going to see him on Saturday, by the way.
Probably
that
not.
would be a tough look.
Yeah, it would. And on its face, I said this to you before the show, trading a guy or requesting a trade while you're on the physically unable to perform list is certainly a move.
It's a tough one. Yeah,
it is.
It's a tough one.
Even if that injury could be fixed with, $30 million a year, still a tough look on its face in and of itself. But no boot either. So like the PR thing that they've been trying to do of, well, he has his ankle injury and all these different things. Like he's never walked out in a boot. And if he does come out on Saturday, which I'm not thinking that Terry's going to come out and sign autographs on Saturday, that would be kind of weird. It would be really funny if he came out in a boot on Saturday.
If he comes out on a boot on Saturday, oh my God.
It'd be so good.
I mean, it's a different level of petty. I would almost respect it to an extent. Be like, hey, guys, would. I'm actually, I actually am hurt. But he has not been in a boot. He is claiming that he is hurt. He's on the PUP list, right? And he's come out 4 days in a row to sign autographs, and now he's saying, I don't want to be here. Again, this is why we look at this and say, all right, well, this is clearly a PR. This is like a one final thing of, hey, we want to get money. This is our final power card without being crazy. So let me just real quickly, and we're going to take your calls, 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980, your reaction to Terry McLaurin requesting a trade from Washington. If he goes out there, right? If he comes out there and signs some autographs, does he think he's going to be met with the same warm response? While I am not turning my back on Terry, this is business. I understand it. This is business. There are a lot of people, I'm reading in our YouTube chat now, I've been getting blown up on Twitter. There are a lot of people that are very, very upset with Terry for doing this. They're the old schools. It's the team first over everything. You can't do anything about yourself and the money. Like, it's the team first. So there's a number of people that are already very, very upset with him. If he comes out there at practice, that's going to be a tough look. But I mentioned power moves. They have 2 power moves left. They being Terry's camp. They are not good power moves. They get really, really disruptive, and any sort of goodwill would very quickly diminish if they decide to take these moves, Max. But they have 2 of them. The first of which is that they don't play, is that Terry does not play. He starts the regular season on the PUP list, which means you miss the first 4 games of the season. You start on the PUP list, or God forbid you hold out the first couple of weeks of the season, although I would imagine they would just start him on the PUP list if they know that's the direction that he's going to go, so they can use that roster spot. But the first one is that you don't play. And you really, like, the pressure does really come on the Commanders if you don't play, but then you really become a disruption. Like, it's different when you're doing this in training camp now. You're a veteran. The guys understand the business element of it. It's a completely different thing when you go out there on Sundays and he's not there and he's just not around. So that is big, big power play number 1. Big, big power play number 2 would be a legitimate PR tour. You call up Ryan Clark. Hey, Pivot Podcast. I'm trying to get on here. I'm trying to explain my side of things. Very similarly to what Brandon Ayuk did last year. Maybe you try Eastern Automotives again. Say, hey, guys, I would like to do another shoot. I would like to maybe set up a press conference and see. I just want to talk a little bit. The final power move is that you go on a PR tour and you explain exactly everything that is happening in negotiations. It's a very, very low move, But that is another power move, because then we get a lot more, like we are basing our information on a couple gut feels from reporters that we have trusted. And then on the flip side, it's like a couple rogue people on Twitter that have had any sort of affiliation with Terry McLaurin, friends of his, that are saying, oh, this is what negotiations are looking like. Which, by the way, if you saw any of that last night, and there was some of that,
literally just sent that article to you.
If you saw any of that last night, take that with the heaviest of grains of salt. Because there's no way that Terry, and these people, the one in particular that had been doing this the most, had been doing this before. Because he had come for me when I had posted something about the wedding thing.
Well, now his account has been deleted.
His account has been deleted, but you really got to take that information with a grain of salt, because if he's really in on these negotiations, and if he is really like tight in the circle of Terry, why on earth is he going to Twitter to reveal everything? That looks ridiculous. So I'm a little hesitant to say that 25 is the number. That was the number that was thrown out by this particular individual. I'm a little hesitant to say that 25 is the definitive number. But we are here. I am still of the belief that Terry is going to get a long-term contract, and that long-term contract is going to be here in Washington, D.C., and he is going to be a Commander for years to come.